So 2020 has just closed, and what a year it has been. Before diving into 2021, though, we want to reflect on 2020 and really take a pause to share some of the key highlights of the year and our top 5 learnings. Right? We certainly accomplished a lot despite the many challenges, right, Milva?
Yes, what a year it has been, Tamara. I think that starting 2020, we had a great plan. We were ready to, as I say, rock and roll. We had 2 events, live events, one in Toronto, one in Montreal. Our last event was on March 11th. Lockdown kicked in on March 14th.
Right.
We were taken by surprise, like just about everybody in this country and around the world. We had to quickly turn around and take our plan and move it, go virtual, find a way to keep on supporting women through this pandemic. And that was quite a challenge. Mm-hmm. Yet we managed to have 5 webinars and 2 live coaching sessions in the rest of the year. We had over 1,000 women attend our events, which was quite
amazing,
quite rewarding with all the work that the volunteers and everybody put in. Yes, so we pivoted around, women rose to the occasion, and we supported women through this pandemic, because the first few topics that we tackled were how to manage this pandemic and mental health. Just to contextualize our 2020 and our growth as women leaders in pharma, I'm just going to present you with a few numbers of LinkedIn. I'm a fan of numbers. Mm-hmm. In December 2020, we surpassed the 6,000 follower mark on LinkedIn.
Very impressive.
It is impressive, but to contextualize it, we are now on the top 3 women associations in Canada.
Wow.
In LinkedIn in terms of number of followers. What's also interesting is the followers. We have 70% of our followers that are Canadian. We have a good chunk of them, 30% that are from abroad. What's more interesting is that 65% of our followers are senior managers. So hopefully with the content that we present, we will be able to change something and engage in that conversation that we need to have. Mm-hmm. What surprised me when we were looking at the numbers is that there are posts that reached 37,000 views.
My God. I'm impressed.
That's quite a number. And that's just one post. Another fact that is interesting is that, Tamara, you know about the female lead.
Yes, I follow them.
I follow them too. They have about 2 million followers and they have a really high engagement rate, which means that out of their followers, quite a few of them frequently and regularly go see the posts. Well, we have the same engagement as the female lead, which was a really good surprise to see. Mm-hmm. That's for LinkedIn. In terms of our membership, we now have, notwithstanding the pandemic and having to go virtual and maybe not having that networking piece that is a nice additional aspect of women leaders in pharma, we surpassed the 300 members, active members. We're now about 320, slightly more. And so that's part of our achievements.
Very good.
Another part, as you well know, of our achievements for this year was the restructuring that we had. Mm-hmm. We took a few months during the summer to really look at what we were doing as an association. We started, it was the 5 of us. We were being the board, the volunteers, the committees. We were all omnicomprehensive in 5 people. We had to restructure to be able to delegate properly and to make sure that we were agile in implementing the plans that we were putting in place. So we created this executive leadership team. We now have 9 wonderful women that are this executive leadership team that are taking care of managing communication, events, programs, mentorship, coaching, and other things that we will tell you later for Canada. So
Fantastic.
that will make us a bit more agile. And that's maybe the undertone of everything that we learned this year.
So speaking of learning, so we accomplished a lot. There is no doubt we have a lot to be proud of. And it's important to take that step back, right, and draw some learnings from that before you move forward into the next year. And for us, we found 5 really key learnings that we wanted to share. The first one is around planning, the notion of planning, which no doubt is crucial. And those that know me well will have heard me say this quote that I love to share is, failing to plan is like planning to fail, right? We certainly had a really solid plan going in 2020, but plans and teams needed to be agile, and we were certainly agile and really flexible, and we quickly pivoted when COVID hit in March, and our plans needed to drastically be adapted to the changing circumstances. So having plans is important, but keeping flexibility to adapt is also just as important. And really, I think, Milva, because our mission and purpose is so clear, which is around empowerment of women, it makes it easier to have that agility because you're always anchored in a very clear common purpose.
I agree with you, Tamara. And I think that to that point, we had to show up also as individuals. So personal development was part of what we had to rise to the occasion with this year too.
Right.
As teams, we had to quickly pivot, and as individuals, we had to quickly pivot. We had to juggle quite a few things. We had to juggle family, being school teachers in some cases, having to take care of elderly parents and whatnot. With this pandemic, we had to learn fast and quickly and demonstrate all the agility that women can show. I personally had to learn a lot of Zoom and Teams and whatnot. I think I had to really dig deep into all the creativity that I could express to make sure that our plan, which was live events, could quickly pivot to virtual and make and still be there to support women. So I think that personal development was part of what we had to show up with. And I think that women in general across the industry and above and beyond rose to the occasion.
There's no doubt that we all learned a lot, right? We were thrown outside of our comfort zones big time. And if you may, I'd like to share another quote that
go ahead, Tamara.
That I have in my heart and that I carried with me throughout 2020. And this one is from Eleanor Roosevelt. It says, "You must do the thing you think you cannot do." And if there's one thing about 2020 that's true is, we were constantly pushed outside of our comfort zone, and we rose to the challenge, which I'm very proud of.
And it's so true, Tamara. And we saw the personal development part also tackling not only our personal lives, our jobs, but our careers also. There
That's
are quite a few women who had to deal with career changes through.
Yep, absolutely. Career management and career development is our third key learning for 2020. And when we started the year, we had a few events focused around personal branding, which thankfully has proven quite useful in this pandemic time when job searching certainly has evolved, right? It still requires us, and even more than ever before, to rely on our network. It's really important. But how you present yourself now on paper online and virtually is more important than ever, right? If I share a few statistics about how just our board was impacted last year, 3 out of our 6 board members lost their job in the heart of the pandemic, which is not uncommon with many others, right, across Canada. And 2 out of those 3, in fact, seized the opportunity to find career advancement opportunities through this challenge. 2 other board members changed jobs and went on to take on new and exciting roles. One of them actually is leading the deployment of one of the COVID vaccines here in Canada. So career management for sure, and focusing on your own personal branding and how you come across in this new virtual environment is really an important learning for 2020.
There's one thing about what you're saying, Tamara, that hits home in terms of what I saw behind the scenes, which is also our 4th learning. It's leadership. What I saw during this pandemic, and with the examples that you brought up, but also with other examples that I saw because women reached out to me. What I saw is that there was a leadership of women, empowering women through vulnerability. What I saw behind the scenes is women showing up as true leaders and being vulnerable in reaching out and asking for support. So when there were those moments, be it of career changes, moving to another company to take on a more challenging role, or be it taking on a new role because one has lost their job, there was that reaching out saying, do you think that this is good for me because you know me? What do you think of the package? What do you think of the financials? What do you think of? And being vulnerable with that, to me, is a testimony to leadership, because being empowered allows you to be vulnerable and seek out what you need to succeed. So I think that with the examples we brought up and with what I saw this year, our 4th learning was really leadership, and leadership comes through women empowering women.
I agree, Milva. And, from my personal standpoint, being one of the 3 who lost their job, I can say that I couldn't agree more, that the empowerment was definitely one of the things I appreciated the most throughout this situation. So the last learning that we wanted to share is around gender bias. This is at the root of why women leaders in pharma exist, right? To shine a light on gender bias and promote gender balance in our industry. There's no doubt progress has been made in the last few years, which is great. It's heading in the right direction. But surprisingly, it took a virus and a pandemic to remind us how prevalent gender bias still is, unfortunately. Many studies and statistics have shown that women were significantly more impacted than our men colleagues during this pandemic. We're still often the main caregivers and caretakers for kids, for elderly parents, for the household. This takes a burden, right? And mental health takes a hit. So our job at WLP is certainly not done. We're just getting started, and I couldn't be prouder of all that we've accomplished and all the work ahead to still that is still required.
Well, talking about what's ahead, Tamara, I think that we have a wonderful 2021 planned. The focus will still remain and will be women empowering women. We will keep on doing what we have built in terms of the last 2 years: events, programs, mentoring, coaching, networking. So that will be the basis on which we will build. There are a few areas that we felt that we could do more, we could do better. So we look forward to these areas of improvement for next year.
Right. One of them being diversity, right? We're going to be placing greater focus on diversity in 2021. And with the creation of the WLP executive role that focus exclusively on diversity, we're going to be going beyond gender and incorporating aspects of diversity such as racial, generational, cultural, LGBTIQ, in all that we do. And so I'm looking forward to this greater focus for our association.
The other area that we felt, and that was in part due to the pandemic, that we felt we needed to look at was the way we give access to communication. We realized that, you know, not everybody can be available for events. So what we've done for 2001 is to relook at how we communicate. One of the tools that we will be putting in place will be podcasts. So you can listen to them wherever and whenever you want. These podcasts will focus on the key themes that will be developed next year. And will bring forward the life experiences of leaders across our industry and outside, men, women, and will be really something to look forward that will be easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
There's another point that we thought we suffered a great deal of this year, which was the lack of networking, because to say that it was reduced would be an understatement. So we're looking at networking 2.0, which will be, as a first step, we thought about something as simple as a book club, where we will be discussing books that will not necessarily be books that will look at our careers or personal development, and that will allow some you know, that nice conversation that women
Mm-hmm.
can have on a specific topic. The
I
last
love that.
Yeah, I look forward to that too. The last thing that we thought that was necessary for to have a greater focus, and I think that having that executive team in place and having people focusing exclusively on that is partnerships. So partnerships with the industry to make sure that we keep on working on challenging the status quo and that glass ceiling that is still present. So we have 2 members of our executive team that will focus on that with their own team. And we look forward to having those conversations. So I think, you know, aside from the basis that we've already built, the 4 elements that we will be focusing on next year will be diversity, networking 2.0, new tools such as podcasts and partnerships. So
Awesome. So we're just going to keep raising that bar, right, Milva?
yes.
What's certain though is we'll also need to remain agile, right? As the pandemic evolves and remains a little unpredictable, we need to keep monitoring that and adapt as needed. We also need to keep a focus on mental health issues, right? And just remain sensitive around this area that continues to surround us and affect women more. And so our job, like I said, at Women Leaders in Pharma is not done. We're just getting started. And I'm super excited about the year ahead.
Happy New Year, Tamara.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too, Milva.
And Happy New Year to everybody who took the time to listen to us today. And one thing that I would like to leave us with is a big thank you. Thank you to the board. Thank you to the executive team, to the volunteers, and to the 1,000 of women that attended our event and the 1,000 of followers that we have. So we look forward to a wonderful 2021 and hope to see you live at one of these events.
Thank you.
Thank you.